to Jodi's Voice, a place where we challenge mindsets and inspire greatness. I'm Jodi Samuels, the founder of Jodi's Voice. And the thing that defines me is I'm passionate about changing the world, or at least my own world, in my own little way. I want to wake up every day and know that I've made a difference. I wear many hats as a speaker, an author, a special needs activist, a mom, a wife. I recently published my first book, Chutzpah, Wisdom and Wine, The Journey of an Unstoppable Woman, which is available on Amazon. Each of the series that I host on Jodi's Voice are designed so that I can help people question, see different perspectives, think about issues. And I hope that this month's series, in honor of Jewish Disability Awareness and Inclusion Month, which happens every February, I can give you all some interesting perspectives and food for thought on inclusion. We have some amazing speakers, Rabbi Rafi Feuerstein, a special needs activist, Beth Steinberg, a mom visionary, Richard Bernstein, a blind Supreme Court judge, Orly Wahab, the kindness boomerang and kindness queen. And now I'm going to introduce to you a very dear, close friend and my personal mentor and teacher, Slovie Wolff. In fact, when my daughter was born and we got the diagnosis, the surprise diagnosis of Down syndrome in the hospital, after I called my parents, Slovie was the next person I called. Slovie is a leader in the Hineni organization. She teaches all over the world, teaching couples, lecturing on parenting. She also recently, a few years ago, she published a book, Raising a Child with Soul. It's a must read for any parent, educator, or friend. Slovie is the daughter of Rebbetzin Esther Jungreis, and she is continuing her mother's legacy by rekindling the spark in every soul. And with that, I'm going to ask Slovie some of these burning questions that I have on inclusion, and I know she is going to provide us with some interesting perspective. Thank you, Slovie.
Thank you, Jodi. So wonderful to be here with you today. Thank you for the privilege.
So, we always talk about the roles of not-for-profits and community leaders in changing the narrative on inclusion and how we handle the issue of special needs in our world. I actually want to ask you, Slovie, what do you say, not to the mom, not to the parent, not to someone who's advocating for special needs, but somebody who's on the other side who may just not know how to handle the issues or hasn't thought through the issues? There may be someone listening to this that the concept tugs at their heartstrings. What would you tell them about inclusion?
Jodi, I always say that everything can be found in the Torah. So what is my responsibility here on this earth? And as you're speaking, one pasuk, one verse jumps out to me from the Torah. Judah is speaking to Yosef, to his brother Joseph, and he has no idea that it's his brother. He looks at Yosef and he says, Eich a'aleh el avi, v'hanar einenu iti. How will I go back to my father? And the boy is not with me. He was speaking about his brother, that Yosef wanted him to keep with him in Mitzrayim in Egypt. But this verse jumps out to each and every one of us because this is another way for us to understand it. One day, after 120, each and every one of us will have to face Avi, my father, our father, Hashem and Shamayim. Eich a'aleh el Avi. How will I ever go up and face my father? V'hanar einenu iti, and the child is not with me. Torah is for everyone. Every single neshama, every single soul stood at Har Sinai. And there is no way that someone could say the Torah is just for me or this type of child, this type of person, but not for that child. Ech alel avi. Each of us has to ask ourselves this. How will I face my father and every child is not with me? If there's a child who feels excluded, who's not able to study Torah, how can I possibly say that my hands are clean of this? Torah belongs to every single Jew, every single age, every single type of Jew, because we're all one neshama. And that's a message that I think each of us has to internalize in our lives.
Okay, and how would you tell people to leave their, I suppose, castle and get off their high horse in terms of this? They're like, you know, I guess I talk.
Their comfort level. People have a comfort level in life, right?
Yep.
You know, so let's go back to the Torah, because you can't go wrong with that. You know, Torah is immutable. It's forever. It's the truth. Everyone can have a different opinion, but how do you know what emes is? How do you know what truth is? So everything in the Torah is immutable. It's forever and it's true. Moshe himself was in a palace of the king. He grew up in the palace of Paro. He could have said, what can I do? You know, it's comfortable for me here. My nation, my people, they're suffering, but how can I help them? And the Torah tells us that Moshe grew, went out of the palace, saw the suffering of his people, and then he grew, Vayigdal. Our sages ask, why does the pasuk say, why does the Torah tell us that he grew twice? The first time he grew in height, he grew in years. But what does it mean to be gadol? We all want to accomplish greatness in our lives. What does it mean to really be great? You know what the Torah is telling us? The moment that he stepped out of his bubble, out of his comfort zone, out of his palace, and said, even if I can't do anything, you know what I could do? I could see and I can feel the pain of another. By Yigdal, then he became great. Number one, let's start by feeling what somebody else is going through. There's a child out there. There's a mother out there. There's a father out there. Their child's not included. Do you know the pain? How does that hurt? What can you do? Feel. Get out of your comfort level. Feel what the person is going through. And then you go to the next step. And what's the next step? Invite this child somehow into your life. And here we can speak about practical ways, if you'd wish, that we can do this to make that happen. I can tell you. Yes. Okay. So I can tell you that just the other week I spoke to a parent, and she told me that when she came to shul, she came with her little girl. The little girl was so excited to see classmates in shul, and she's waving and she's saying hello. And her daughter has Down syndrome, and not one child stopped to just smile to say, hello. What am I asking for? Hello. And the parents themselves did not stop. Maybe a child has to learn from a parent how to act, how to react. But what can we say about ourselves? Just to say hello. I mean, what are we asking for? Hevei mekabel eskal ha'adam b'sever panim yafos. There's a reason that our sages tell us that whenever you meet someone and greet someone, look at your face and give them a good face, because that's part of being a mensch. It's part of being part of this people called Am Yisrael. And we can't choose when to be kind or when to be a mensch and when to have character and when not. Either we have it or we don't. And that means saying hello to somebody, even if you're not in the mood, even if it's not your best friend. I would say that we start just with our face. Say hello. Include somebody with a hello.
And, you know, that's so pertinent, Slovie, because in a personal story in my life, I sometimes think, you know, we live in 2021 and we have laws for everything, and we politically correct in every possible way. And then we sometimes just forget the basics. And I know with my daughter, when she was complaining, she complained to one of the counselors from B'nai Akiva that the girls were being horrible to her on WhatsApp. So the counselor called me, I go through all the WhatsApps, and I can't see anything that's really horrible. I probe a little bit further. And she goes, but Ima, mommy, they ignore me. And then I look through her eyes, and one kid puts hi, and everybody responds hi, or puts a heart emoticon and a kiss and a this, and our kids can have 100 WhatsApps an hour. And she would say hi, and no one responded. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
It hurts so badly. It's loneliness. You could be in a room with 20 people and you could feel lonely. You could be on a WhatsApp with 100 kids and you can feel lonely, and that hurts. So what we're really saying is, sur meira, don't do anything that hurts another person. Don't do bad, but that's not enough just not to harm. Va'aseh tov. But you have to actively do something good. Bring somebody in. And how can you do that? We said just with a smile, just by saying hello. Why is a smile so important? Because when you smile at somebody, do you know what you're saying? I'm happy to see you. I'm happy to see you. And when you just walk by them, you make a person feel so big. Everybody has inside of them a neshama. Everybody has inside of them chelek Elokai mimal, something from Hashem. So when you snub a person, when you hurt a person, you know what you're really doing? You're snubbing a part of Hashem that is in that person. And who can say that we're able to do this and then look at ourselves in the mirror? There is no answer for that. That is a good answer. I'll give you another example of something we can do. Purim is coming. When my son was a little boy, he said to me one Purim, Mommy, everyone's making all these lists of all their friends and where we're going to give all our shalchmanis. There's one boy in my class and he has a very hard time with friends. Can we go and bring him shalchmanis? Because I know that there is no one in the class that's going to go to him. My heart was so touched. I didn't think about that. I remember driving up to this little boy's house. My son took his shalach manos. He went up to the door. He rang the bell. The boy opened the door. His face, his mouth was wide open. He could not believe that somebody actually was thinking of him on Purim, because really he would get not one shalach manos. What's the whole point of Purim? My son runs back to the car. He said to me, Mommy, that was better than hitting a home run. Because here's the truth. When we do for somebody else, we're the winners. We feel good. We're the ones who are grown. We're the ones who know then I've made a difference in this world. What are we here for? Not just to give shalach manos to our best friends, not just to have a theme with our shalach manos or fancy cakes. What was the point of shalach manos? Esther Hamalka wanted us to give to each other. It says, krovim v'rechokim, those who are near and those who are far, not only physically, but emotionally. If somebody is far from you, open up your hand, reach out. Jodi, we come into this world as babies, our fists are closed. Every single one of us. And our job, our responsibility, our mission is to open our fingers one by one until finally we know how to give. We have to ask ourselves, am I a giver or am I a taker? What kind of person am I? So if somebody comes into our life who enables us to become a giver, how grateful we must be for every opportunity. We just have to look for the opportunity. It's a privilege to be a giver. That's the truth.
Slovie, thank you for challenging our mindsets and hopefully inspiring all of us to be great. I really appreciate your time. And to all the listeners out there, you will be able to find all the recordings in this series on jodisvoice.com It will be on Jodi's Voice on Facebook as well. And we look forward to connecting with you in the future. And if you'd like to read Chutzpah, Wisdom and Wine, A Journey of an Unstoppable Woman, please check me out on Amazon. It's an ebook and a print. Slovie, thank you and thank you.
Thank you so much.